What'd you get done during the bye week?
Got a lot of work done. Recruiting, some practice, a lot of training room, all those things. It was good.
Did you like that Rocky game? Looked all right?
What's that?
The Rocky game? Turned out
Little
all right?
recruiting. Little recruiting.
How much did you guys go out as a staff?
Everybody.
Everybody out?
Yep.
Mostly out of town, or?
Mostly.
What do you try to get done during these weeks when you can't get out during the season? What's the emphasis there?
You talking about
In terms of the recruiting part of it, what do you guys
just
try to get?
evaluation. It's evaluation time.
Try to watch games as much as you can, or you just going? You're going to kids'
Combination. Yeah. Usually guys will see a game and go to a bunch of schools as well.
Did you get to have any fun? I know your players said that they enjoyed watching football, you
Yeah.
know, just the kind of downtime.
Yeah, I think that, it's always good to take a couple days to recharge. And, I think that's really important for the players as well as the coaches. But the coaches are, the traveling can be hard. But I think it's good for our players to get a couple days to not do football.
I know you don't discuss individual injuries, but did you guys get healthier during the bye week?
We did. Yeah, I think so.
Is there any of those guys that are long term?
Yeah, Baltazar will be out. He's got an ACL, and Ebo McKenday's got a torn pec. He'll be out
for the rest of the year.
Yep. Yep.
Anything during the bye week with the players you emphasize? Some fundamentals you really wanted to hit home with during a week like that. Or?
Yeah, every coach had a checklist of what they wanted to improve upon, and so did it by offense, defense, special teams, and then by position.
Is that the way these fall? I mean, I know you have no control over it, but the way these fall is sort of a month in and sort of another month you get another bye. Timing-wise, that work out well for in terms of sort of seeing where you're at, try to fix things.
Yeah, it is what it is, and you make it work however. But it was a good spot for this one.
Regardless of how it affects Utah State, how did you feel about Chucky Keaton going down?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a bummer. We lost 2 guys, and they lost a guy, and you just hate that. When it happens, for the season. We've lost about 9 for the season. And so, you don't like that. I mean, football, you're going to lose a guy here and there. And, but when you lose them for, a long time, it's a bummer.
How does their team change without Chucky?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that. You'd have to ask them that.
Who needs to step up and fill that void with Aaron now?
Well, we got some guys there. We do, and we've been saying from day one, you need more than 1 or 2 guys at that position, and so we have a few guys that we feel like will continue to progress, and the next guy, whether it's Derek Thomas, Jack, and all those guys are going to get more reps, and so that's good.
How tough is it to lose Aaron, though, with how you've been coming along? You haven't explained what
Yeah, it's you don't like to lose any of those guys without question. I mean, I think about Ebo McKenday. He's done. He doesn't get any more football.
And he's obviously a very important special teams guy. How many guys does it take to replace him in terms of special teams roles?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll put our best guys in there, and we're going to play our best guys. And Ebo was one of our best for sure. He's been doing a really good job. And I think our team and our coaches know how important that guy was in the role that he was in. A lot of times from the outside, you don't see how important that is, but he was doing a very nice job.
He was injured in that game?
Mm-hmm.
Is the season too long now? Are they playing too many games?
Well, we've only played 5.
I know you have now, but when it drags on into December, is it too long?
You get into that 14 range. If you go to Hawaii in a bowl game, and then it could even be technically more than that with a championship game. I mean, I think you're starting to push the limits there a little bit. So we'll just have to kind of see. But we're still right in the midst of it, and I think everybody's kind of got the same thing. You got players out that you'd love to not have out.
What do they do defensively? They're pretty good defense.
They're very
They
good.
got great numbers. What do they do?
They're very good. It's the same old thing. Offense always steals the headlines, and they've been doing a great job with their offense and, the role that Chucky Keaton had. But very much overshadowed was their defense. I mean, they lead the league in, most of those defensive categories. And they got good players to start with. They play really hard. and then they have a scheme that complements it, and they understand exactly what they're doing. And it's a combination of those three things.
I know you spent some time with Matt Wells this summer. How important has the continuity been for them? Retaining a lot of their staff,
Yeah.
all of their terminology.
Yeah, I think it's really, really important. I mean, I think he'd probably tell you the same thing, but it doesn't look like they've, missed a beat, and I think because of those reasons.
But it's several years since we've played Utah State. How much better are they now than what you saw the last time we faced them?
Oh, they're a lot better than we played them last time, yeah. Completely different team, program, all those things. I mean, these guys are good, there's no question about it.
The linebacker core has been playing a lot of football over the years, a lot of decorated guys. What stands out with that group?
Oh, very good. The two inside guys make, most of the tackles in the league. I think they're the 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 in the league. And then they have an outside backer, I believe his name's Fackrell, really athletic, can run, tall, rangy guy. And so they got they have a good secondary. Those guys are athletic. Their linebackers make most of the tackles. They play a lot of guys in their D-line that play hard. I mean, it's a good formula.
Joe talked a lot about how much stuff they do defensively. Are they different a little bit than what you normally
They
see?
do a lot of stuff on both sides of the ball. They really do. They have a lot to, a lot to their schemes, and it's impressive how much they get done.
What do you know about that backup quarterback?
What you know about him? I mean, that's it. We saw him play, and he looks like he's very capable. I think they'll run their system, because they got a lot to it. So they're not going to go invent something new. They got a lot of different stuff, and they'll probably play to his strengths. But I think he's fairly mobile, and I think he throws. I think he throws well. I mean, again, we saw 3/4 of a game with him, and that's all we know.
When you put on the film and you show your guys them going toe-to-toe with USC and the reputation USC has, that say something to your players a little bit about what they're up against this week?
Well, I think everybody they've played for the last, couple years, if they've lost, they've been right there. I think this last one, got away from them a little bit. But I think when you watch the game, it was a couple plays here and there. Utah State's defense was very good on 3rd down again. I mean, they were extremely stingy there. And so, probably with the injury to the quarterback and all those things, it was unsettling to those guys. But, like any good team, they got players, and one guy is not going to sink them.
These two teams are, at least on paper, excuse me, the favorites in your division. Does that make this game doubly important?
Yeah, I don't think favorites has anything to do with it in my mind.
This is an important game.
Yeah, I mean, it's the next game, and Utah State's a really good team. That's what I think of those guys from top to bottom. I think their special teams are good. We've discussed offense, defense, and so I think they're a really good team top to bottom. They got good depth. They rotate a lot of guys in at different positions, and so this is and we've kind of known it from way back when it's going to be a big now. Favorites and all that doesn't really matter as the season goes on. I mean, I think from top to bottom, the whole league is pretty good on any given day.
You guys are walking in another tough environment on Saturday, and where'd you see your team improve in terms of handling that from the first road game to the second road game?
Well, we'll see. I mean, it's never as good as playing at home. I mean, that's the bottom line. It feels much different, but we just got to be able to handle noise. Is what we got to be able to handle, and you don't have that energy behind you when you're on defense, and you got it against you for sure on offense, and it just comes down to executing and being able to handle noise.
So many new guys on defense, 5 games. How do you think the defense is improving?
I think we're getting better. I do think we're making strides. It is. There's a handful of new guys in there, but I think that they're improving. You can just kind of see that they're understanding. First what we're trying to do, let alone what an offense is trying to do.
You mentioned after the last game you need to start faster on offense. How do you do that?
Yeah, good question. It's like, how do you get more turnovers? you know, we emphasize, we talk about he can change things in practice a little bit. You know, we would like to start. I think there's some other things that are maybe more important we got to get done than just starting fast. I mean, you don't like to go 3 and out and all those type of things, but you know, as long as we do eventually get into a rhythm, I think we're heading in the right direction.
You guys obviously know Utah State from the WAC days. You missed them a couple of years with conference realignment, but are they now a good fit for the Mountain West, and with geography and being in the same division, there's a potential budding rivalry?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Mountain West is, like we said, I think it just makes sense across the board. I think everybody in there, geographically speaking, it makes a lot of sense. And you know, I would think that if a lot of our fans can make this game in a car and not have to fly over there, so that's a really good thing.
You talk about some of the guys who've had to step up because of injuries, like Connor Peters, Jake Broyles, Troy Ware.
Yeah, and then you talk about all the freshmen that are playing. You know, whether that's for injury or just depth purposes. I mean, all those guys are getting better. They're all improving, and you know, some faster than others. Probably the young guys maybe a little faster than some of the old guys, which is understandable. But you know, we're only halfway, or not even quite halfway through our season, and so that's what we've been saying. It's just all about work in progress and continually getting better. And if we do that, you know, I think we'll feel good about ourselves.
Dylan spoke about special teams, how much you stress that. You practice he said almost half of practice is dedicated to that. Isn't that an overstatement?
Yeah, probably a little bit, but we do spend a lot of time. It's always woven in there, and you know, we do. We think it's really important, and you know, we don't just give it lip service. We give it practice time, meeting time, and all those things.
Is that something that you think maybe some teams don't take advantage of? And
I think most everybody does these days. I really do. I don't think anybody. There may be somebody, but I don't know who they are.
Seems like you've got more production out of the special teams this year than last year. What have you noticed watching and seeing the team practice that you think has led to that this year?
I think we have some guys that have played there last year that are back in the mix at maybe some key positions. I think, you know, we might be coaching them slightly different, hopefully in a better way, in a more simple way. And, you know, all those little things I think kind of add up.
Do you watch a lot of tape on special teams, other teams' special teams?
Oh, yeah, we watch it all. I mean, we watch it all just like we watch all the offense and defense. We watch it all.
Because you had 2 blocked field goals against Southern Miss. Then Florida International blocks a field goal, 6 seconds left to beat them.
Did they? Yeah.
So you might have given them that.
Well, yeah. Well, there's no question. I mean, you see things that other teams do, and you try to emulate that. Our block field goals kind of came out of nowhere, to tell you the truth. Like I was speaking last week or the week before. You know, it wasn't like we really felt we had an advantage there. We felt like some of our guys had really been doing a good job pushing hard in practice, and we thought we were going to get close, and we hadn't been too close in some of the games, and then bang, out of nowhere, it shows up. And that's really how football is in special teams. It's like, you know, you let your guard down for a second, or, you know, you keep believing, you know, certainly in the kicking game, that you're going to block something. I mean, that's the thing you see so often. Like, guys miss kicks, block kicks by just inches. And you can tell how they came off the ball, that they weren't truly believing that they were going to get that block, because most of the time you don't get it. But then it's that one time when someone kind of gets a little bit out of position, the technique's just right. If you're believing, you're going to get it done. And that's what, you know, that's what DeMarcus and Ricky and those guys did on that. I mean, they just kept believing and kept pushing. And sure enough, 2 of them.
DeMarcus gets the credit for the block. What else did you see that sort of set that? Who else was pushing in there? That kind of set it up?
Ricky's in there, Ricky Chongchu, and you know, but there's some other guys on the other side that are doing a good job too. So we try to attack from all angles, and you know, usually it's some guy that maybe gets a guy to turn his shoulders, and another guy gets through there. So it's usually a team effort.
offensive line this year, it's been solid for you guys, but maybe a few more sacks allowed.
Yeah.
Is there anything to that? Maybe the quicker.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think our O-line's played really well. I do. With that being said, we've given up a few more sacks than we normally do, and you know, a couple of those are on the QB, and a couple of those are on the O-line. It always goes hand in hand, and Yeah, that's what I'd say about that. You know, Joe's going to just have to get rid of it. I mean, it might be an incomplete pass, but that's better than a sack in most occasions. And then there's been a lineman that's gotten beat, or you know, once or twice. But yeah, we'd like to tighten that up for sure.
Running 90 to 100 plays on offense during a game. Have you seen any detriment to that? Anything that is happening you didn't expect?
Well, nothing really that you don't expect, but you know, I do think it changes it on your defense. I really do. You know, it's different than huddling up and shortening the game up, and you know, when you're running 60 plays, you know, it's going to take time off the clock in general for the other team to have the ball, and so I think that's why you know, I don't really care so much about how many plays we're running for our offense. I mean, like, you know, the series, the possessions are important, but really just as we're scoring points when we get the ball. But we do care about, you know, the effect that it can have on your defense, and, you know, I think that's important to pay attention to.
What do you worry about there? You worry about putting those guys out there for too many plays?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, if you have the ball more and more chances to strike, probably a chance for more points. I mean, I don't know. You know, you have a higher scoring game or a lower scoring game, doesn't matter. You know, again, I don't know if anyone really knows that. I mean, certain guys have a belief and a philosophy in that, but I mean, I think our philosophy is always just try to score as many points as we can and create some turnovers and get another possession or two.
Every year they do things to change the rules. Do you think they'll look into something if people think there's too many plays?
I don't know. I haven't heard any of that. I don't think that there's. I don't think so. I think people like to see points being scored, so I think that wouldn't be a good thing. Yeah.
Offensive coordinator.
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't like to watch, you know, somebody from the outside play a 10 to 12 game, so.
Going back to Keaton's injury, in the era of a mobile quarterback, how important is it to have a backup that's a solid, reliable backup?
You got to have backups everywhere. I mean, because it's going to strike you. You just don't know at what position. And, I mean, that we do know, and you just keep your fingers crossed that it's not one of your, you know, key guys, one of your better players. But, you know, more times than not, it's, you know, it's going to strike you at certain positions. And, you know, you feel bad when it happens, that's for sure.
Do you expect to see something a little bit different with a different quarterback in there now that they have a week to prepare for him?
Well, like I say, I mean, he'll have a week to prepare. They'll play to his strengths, but they have, you know, they have a lot of offense, and so they're not going to reinvent their offense. I mean, they're just going to play to part of what they feel he does well.
Is there more of an unknown when a backup quarterback has to play because they usually aren't out there at crunch time? You have less tape on somebody?
Yeah, I mean, we don't worry about that. We don't. We just put the tape on, and their schemes are their schemes, and they have a lot of them, and you can't practice against all the things they have, so you pick and choose what, you know, what they've been good at in the past.